Why do so many people consider Dead by Daylight to be the most toxic gaming community? Why is toxic and salty content so popular with the player base? And why, with all of this in mind, would you even consider playing the game? These are the questions that I'm going to be answering in this video. And as somebody who has over 2,000 hours in the game and has been making content on Twitch and YouTube, including those toxic and salty content that I mentioned earlier, for over 2 years now, I think I'm in a pretty unique position to be able to offer some insight into this topic and maybe shed some light on how and why the Dead by Daylight community has earned this reputation. So let's start with how the image of Dead by Daylight being the most toxic community came to be. If you've dabbled in DBD content at all, then it's probably no secret to you that one of the most popular and prominent genres of videos is toxic or salty content. Watching a killer absolutely lose their marbles when a team of Survivor brings in brand new parts, or watching a Survivor rage quit when a bobber takes their rightful place in the corner of the basement is a guilty pleasure to a lot of people. But whilst the content does provide entertainment, it does also present a very specific image of what the community is like. If you're someone who has never played the game before and has never seen any other content about it, and these videos are your first introduction, then it's highly likely you'll come away feeling a bit cautious about the people who play it. After all, if you can't even bring a certain perk into a trial without some Twitch streamer telling you that you're the absolute scum of the earth, why would you ever consider installing the game? And it's not just YouTube that presents an unappealing image of the community. There's one place that's even worse, a place where even people who religiously play the game are scared to venture. And that place is Dead by Daylight Twitter. Or Dead by Daylight X? I don't know at this point. Ask Elon. This place is an absolute cesspool of arguments, people insulting each other, children telling you that they have the best opinion and that you need to listen to it. Seriously, the less that's said about DBD Twitter, the better. Basically, whatever platform you're on, you're very likely to find a presentation of the worst parts of the community on full display. And with the frequency of these types of things, it's really not surprising that so many people have drawn the conclusion that they need to stay as far away from this game as possible. So why is the community so toxic? What is it about Dead by Daylight that seems to bring out the worst in the people who play it? Well, there are a couple of reasons that could provide a possible explanation for this. The first one is the us versus them mentality that is rampant in the community. Dead by Daylight's premise is simple. 4 people play as survivors who have to repair generators and escape from a trial, whilst one person plays as the killer who must hunt them down and kill them before they manage to do so. This kind of opposition with 2 sides fighting for conflicting outcomes is not uncommon to find in multiplayer video games, but it has created a very unique mindset for the players of Dead by Daylight. The community seems to have split itself into 2, with one half considering themselves to be survivor mains and the other half being killer mains. This is most likely due to how different the 2 sides feel to play, thanks to the asymmetrical design and people preferring to play one side over the other. Now, considering yourself to be on either side of the coin isn't the problem that we're talking about here. The problem is that each side seems to absolutely despise the other. Survivor mains will blame killer mains for every single problem in the game, and vice versa. When an update for the game drops, you're very likely to hear either side complaining about how the devs only care about the other and are just doing everything to make the game easier for them. Some people will even go as far as to actively avoid anyone who identifies as the opposite side to them, as if they have some sort of plague. Essentially, the concept of whether you are a survivor main or a killer main has been weaponized by some people in the community, and something which really should have been another thing to unite people has instead torn them right down the middle. If you're interested in this topic and want to hear more about it, The Hot Cross has a great video on the subject called Which Side is the Most Entitled in Dead by Daylight that I would highly recommend checking out. A second potential explanation is the disconnect between people who consider DBD to be a party game, something to have fun with and not take too seriously, and the people who consider DBD to be a very competitive environment where winning is the only reason to play. This has actually been evident recently, thanks to the discussion of school merchants' 3-gen ability. For those of you unfamiliar, this is when a killer comes into the match as school merchant and sets herself up to protect the 3 generators on the map that are the closest together. The drones that come with her kit hover over the gens and protect them, allowing her to roam between the 3 with more ease than the other killers would be able to. This tactic often results in a stalemate between the 2 sides, where the survivors can't finish the last generator that they need to escape, and the killer is too busy protecting the 3 generators to commit to any chases and take people out of the game. In these instances, a killer who is only concerned with not allowing the survivors to escape and to win the game at all costs creates a scenario that just isn't fun for the opposition. And just so the killer mains don't think I'm only coming for them, the same thing can be seen when a squad of survivors prioritizes repairing the generators as quickly as possible, making the game incredibly short and not giving the killer any chances to engage in chases and turn the game around in their favor. Whichever side the person is on, if they're committed to winning and play in a competitive way to achieve that, then the result is that the other team will be either upset that they lost or upset that the game was taken way too seriously. It's a lose-lose in every scenario. So yeah, the community definitely has its flaws, and the popularity of toxic content posted by people like Spook and Jukes and, well, me, probably doesn't help with presenting those flaws as collective. But it does have to be said that these aspects are just a small part of the overall player base and are not telling anywhere near the full story. Let's take the toxic content. You can find these types of videos in pretty much every gaming community, such as Fortnite, Call of Duty, and even in games such as Pokemon. It's not just Dead by Daylight gamers, it's gamers in general. And DBD Twitter, well, that's just Twitter. The platform isn't exactly known right now for being a haven of thoughtful and positive interactions, so why would it be any different in the Dead by Daylight community? I do also think that the popularity of the game on Twitch and YouTube has led to this increased perception of the toxicity. DBD is known for being a pretty good game to choose if you're wanting to grow as a content creator, and regularly has tens of thousands of viewers on Twitch on any given day. Therefore, the increased number of people choosing to stream it will lead to an increased statistical probability that a toxic personality will be found. This is not to excuse that behavior, of course, but more just to point it out as a contributing factor to the seemingly never-ending amount of people who just want to bitch and moan about anything and everything to do with the game. I think it's become far too common to focus on the negatives of Dead by Daylight and to completely miss all of the positive things that are happening in the community. And I'm just as guilty of this, by the way, but then when I think about it, I would always recommend this game to anyone new who's interested in trying it, because I genuinely think that the game and the community has a lot to offer, and there's always something amazing happening somewhere. For example, over the past few years, some of the biggest creators in the space would annually get together for a charity tournament called The Light in the Fog. This tournament was put together to raise money for another content creator, Puppers, who was diagnosed with ALS, and who many people mark as their inspiration for downloading the game and even giving content creation a go for themselves. And then, when Puppers recently passed away, the community came together again for one final stream to honor and mourn him collectively. Charity tournaments are actually pretty common to find within the DBD community. Another one was hosted just a few months ago by Sergeant Fidget, which managed to raise over $60,000 for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. These are just a couple of mentions, and I could definitely find more to talk about. But the point is that just because we talk about the negative aspects of the community so frequently and so prominently, doesn't mean that those positive aspects don't exist. In fact, a lot of people, including me, shed light on those negative aspects in order to raise awareness about them and to stop the frequency with which they occur. Overall, there's a reason why Dead by Daylight is such a popular game to play and to watch on Twitch and YouTube, and that is that the community is so strong. I even have people in my community who have told me that they have never played the game before in their life, but just enjoy being a part of it all in some way. Are there some negative aspects and some bad faith players in the community? Yes, of course. But in what community is that not the case? There is always bad amongst the good. Thankfully, I can 100% say that the positive experience I've had with the game outweigh all of the negative experiences that I've had and seen. But this video is getting too mushy now. Alright, so there is one thing that the game needs to do better that I'm going to mention right now. One thing that the devs are consistently dropping the ball on. And here it is. They still haven't nerfed the pig.
So let me break it all down for you. I ain't never giving up, I ain't never giving up. I'm taking that crown from you.